Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Thursday, October 27th, 2016. And here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, over there in Asia, everything down, but not a lot. Over there in Europe, it's mixed. Not too high, not too low. Over here in the States, everything's down, but not a lot. And oil, it's up, but not a lot. And gold, but not a lot. So what's going on? Not a lot. You know why oil's up? Okay. See if you can guess. Oil edged higher on Thursday, lifted by a reported drop in U.S. crude inventories stored at the Cushing, Oklahoma delivery hub. And this is going to come as a shock, I know it. Statements from energy ministers from Saudi Arabia and Gulf allies who told their Russian counterparts this week they're willing to reduce their peak oil output by up to 4%. Sources familiar with the matter said. Yeah, you know what the sources are.
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horse shit.
Every day, this never stops. So, remember, they're going to be meeting just about a month from now, November 30th. And what are they going to do? They're going to cut back maybe 700,000 barrels. And, just to keep making it clear, there's an excess between 1.5 and 2 million barrels per day. So 700 barrels a day, 100,000 barrels a day will add up to nothing. And why did stocks close lower? Well, because investors parsed through a fresh batch of corporate earning results and economic data. Quote, there's a lot of activity taking place, but the middle of the rope is not moving. In the stock market, said Mike Bailey, Director of Research at FBB Capital Partners. So, the real economic news is U.S. core capital good orders, you ready? Unexpectedly fell in September. New orders for U.S. manufactured capital goods fell in September, and weak demand for computers and electronic products, which could temper expectations for an acceleration in business spending in the fourth quarter. That's important. And Caterpillar, of course, came out with their earnings. They said they have an abundance of used construction equipment, a substantial number of idle locomotives, and a significant number of idle mining trucks. So they reported nearly a 50% drop in third quarter profit from a year ago and lowered its full year revenue outlook for the second time this year. Now, there's a lot of talk about gold and the dollar. And you keep hearing me talk about it as well. If they raise interest rates, the dollar goes up. The dollar goes up, all those countries and companies that borrowed all that cheap dollars and their currencies go down in the emerging markets have to pay it back with stronger dollars. So that means they have to pay more back because the currency is cheaper. There's now growing expectation that they may not even raise rates in December, although it's a 70% guess that they will. It's up to 74%. However, if they do raise them 25 basis points, it's almost tied into the market now with very low expectations that they'll raise them after that. Because last year, in December, they said they were going to raise them 4 times in 2016. Here we are almost into November of 2016, and they haven't raised them at all. I'm saying this because there's a very important story in today's Wall Street Journal. Signs hint at a ceiling for the dollar. I'm going to spend time on this. This is very important. The dollar has its doubters. The U.S. currency has surged 2.6% in October, on pace for its second strongest monthly gain of the year, reflecting expectations that the Federal Reserve will raise rates in December. October's rise has put the Wall Street Journal Dollar Index within striking distance of breaking into the positive territory for 2016 for the first time since February. Some investors are warning that a nearly 6-year dollar bull market is in its last stages. Now, 6 years. The currency has risen 36% against major rivals since 2011. But the largest gains have been driven almost exclusively by the declines as recently of the British pound, the euro, and the yen. But let's go back to the other one. Since 2011. 2011. Go back to just this time in October 2011. Gold was flirting at $2,000 an ounce. Now, of course, it's down in the 1,270 range. So now they're expecting the dollar to have leveled out. That's going to be very bullish for gold if this holds true. One potential warning signal is the U.S. current account deficit, which has widened in the past 2 years as the dollar's strength makes U.S. products pricier abroad. The U.S. current account deficit increased by nearly 22% in the second quarter of 2016 from the same period 2 years ago. All right, remember, they're saying that a stronger dollar is responsible for the United States selling less product. That's only very small part of why they're not selling more. They're not selling more anywhere. You have the yuan down to 6-year lows, the Chinese currency, against the dollar, and their exports are way down. So it's not that. After such a big move, you eventually need to wonder when the correction is going to come, says Thomas Fleury, head of currency strategy at UBS Wealth Management. He goes on to say, past dollar bull markets typically have turned when the currency has risen about 20% above its purchasing power parity, a broad measure of relative value according to Deutsche Bank. It's raised now about 10%. This is important because if the dollar has hit its ceiling, you're going to see gold hit another ceiling. And you know my forecast for gold. I've been saying it throughout the year. When gold breaks $1,400 an ounce smartly, in the 1450, 1470 range, it spikes a new ceiling toward 2,000. China hard landing, yuan risks recede. This is from Fitch. Global rating agency Fitch said risks of a hard landing for Chinese economy and other future sharp depreciations of the yuan had receded in the near term. Quote, there are signs of stabilization in the Chinese economy. The policy response in China will allow the country to manage its growth gradually to a sustainable level and avoid a hard landing, according to Fitch rating report. But Fitch noted that reliance on credit expansion to support the economy contributed to meeting near-term growth targets, but added to long macroeconomic imbalances. The risk of a sharp depreciation of the yuan is less imminent, citing slower path for interest rate hikes in the United States as a supportive factor. So what they're saying, Fitch is saying, is that number one, the Chinese government is pulling back on its stimulus, so it's leveling out the yuan. Number two, Fitch is saying the risk of a sharp depreciation of the yuan is less imminent, citing a slower path for interest rate hikes in the United States. Now, what have we been saying all year? That if they raise interest rates, these other currencies go down. You see the account deficit the United States has already. So this is important. It's about the dollar. It's about other currencies, and it's a global slowdown. Beijing eases local pension fund rules as population ages rapidly. They're allowing them to take funds, as they're doing in Japan, and invest in the stock markets to boost them up. There's a quote here. In theory, it's a good thing to do and should increase returns, says Stuart Leckie, Sterling Finance chairman, who has advised the government on pension reform. Quote, but it was primarily done to support the stock market. They're doing something good for the wrong reasons. They're rigging the markets. Everything I'm saying here, it's a rig. There's no true price discovery. The facts are here. An editorial comment in today's Financial Times: if China cannot beat Europe, it will acquire it. That's right. Is China, in China, the business of China is business. The business of America is bombs. Verizon still bullish on Yahoo deal. Big story. Bullish? How about?
Warning, warning, bullshit alert.
Who would buy this company? Go to their front page. Go to their home page. Here's what you get today. What you and Miley Cyrus can do if you hate your engagement ring. How about shove it up your... No, I got to be nice. Homeowners must claim $4,000 rebate by December 31st. A sponsored ad. This photo of a dog with a mouthful of ladybugs is freaking out pet owners. You're going to pay for this thing? You're going to buy this company? For what? Oh, maybe for the next story. Killer on the run after Milwaukee shooting. Oregon woman's Subaru stolen and returned with bizarre explanation. Fishermen surprised an animal creating huge wake in Upper Klamath Lake. The real meaning behind Snap's first words in Harry Potter is absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely stupid crap, and this is going on across the country. The newspapers are firing people on a daily basis. There is hardly any good news coming out. I study the news all day long. I go back to old trends journals telling people to read the newspapers, read the newspapers. There's hardly anything to read anymore. It's a consolidation in the industry, and it's become a Facebook and Twitter world of information. An important story. Green energy overtakes coal as biggest source of power capacity. Financial Times. Overtakes coal as biggest source. This is just the beginning of the new energy revolution. When we have something bigger than solar, biofuels, wind, geothermal, it's going to be bigger than that. Nobody's going to care about the Middle East. Nobody's going to care about any of these countries. You know why? Because we did not invade Libya and Iraq because their major export is broccoli. Talking about the waste and garbage in the newspapers, I want to show you this. Look at this photo. This big photo of a bunch of kids holding a cell phone. Apple predicts a big holiday bounce after its biggest rival, Samsung, falters. The reason for this big picture is because they don't have content to put in there. And you got it yesterday, but we couldn't go on the air. We had trouble up in the cloud. Yep. Couldn't upload and couldn't download. But you got a trend alert. Trend alert. Michelle Obama's rap more disgusting than Trump talk. What I wrote in this trend alert, no one in detail has put this down. What a bunch of hypocrisy. The songs, the lyrics, and the people the Obamas support, make Trump's talk look like when you went to the confessional to tell the priest when you first got your first communion compared to this. The dirty, filthy language coming out of the rappers that they bring to the people's house, our house, the White House, to wine and dine. The filth. The words are there. Beyonce, that she wants a daughter. She's happy about Beyonce. And a role model for a daughter and for all the world. You should read the filthy language of Beyonce. That's our First Lady and our President. They are, in my opinion, and you know the motto of the Trends Research Institute and Trends Journal, think for yourself, are as disgusting as the people that they associate with. So while Miss Obama is out there being so shocked at the language and how fearful she is that her children might hear this, they're bringing in rappers that make Trump look like not quite a saint, but maybe an altar boy, compared to the garbage, the rape, and everything else that the Obamas bring into the White House that these people are famous for, these rappers. So that's some of today's trends in the news. A lot going on the global front. We'll get to that in tomorrow's Trends in the News, but watch what's going on. Look for a move for the United States to move into Syria big time. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.